And it is the Queen of Hearts.
Another big-time jackpot. One guy taking home nearly $1 million after picking the winning card at a Beaver Creek bowling alley. Now, this is the second time in a month now Beaverview Bowl gave away a prize in a Queen of Hearts game. Now, despite there only being one winner, thousands lined the streets just hoping for a chance at that jackpot. Gwyneth Falloon live in Beaver Creek. And Gwen, you've been following this on social media throughout the night. It was packed outside and inside.
Yes, packed is probably an understatement. There were thousands of people sitting and walking out here along the streets, and people actually, just like 2 weeks ago, had their tailgates out. They had tents and grills, music, coolers. The energy was definitely high tonight. People came out actually the night before, though, last night, to set up and make sure that they got a good parking spot. Now, the last game, it took almost a year to complete because only one card was turned over a week, but there was a guaranteed winner tonight. It was lucky card number 32, picked by a Rob Terry. He actually wasn't in the crowd, but he took home over $914,000, a coveted prize wanted by many in attendance.
I coach travel volleyball, so a lot of girls can't afford to do it all the time, and I have a really big team going to big tournaments, so I'll probably just donate it to them so they all can go to their big tournaments.
Now, even though there was only one big winner tonight, there were several small winners, and that's because if your name was called and you didn't pick the Queen of Hearts card, you still got to take home $599. Back to you.
Gwen, thanks. A live look from downtown Troy now. The Miami Valley dealt with those severe thunderstorms this afternoon. Those have since passed. They are gone for now anyway. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Natalie Walters with a look ahead. What do we got?
We got a few lingering thunderstorms, but the severe threat has made its way out of our area, so much better news. But eventually we're going to be talking about not just more storms in the forecast, but also heat is on the way too. So here's a look at radar where we do have a thunderstorm right now basically along the Greene County, Clark County border, just south, I would say, of Clark County in Yellow Springs. Some heavier rain, some lightning there, but this is a lot quieter for parts of Clark and Champaign County than earlier today. Take a look at this. A lot of rainfall in just a short amount of time for Clark and Champaign counties. This is actually Logan County. Radar estimating over 3 inches of rainfall there. Also have a spot east of Springfield, radar estimating 2.4 inches. This spot right here, I was actually zoomed in on earlier, potentially some areas seeing 4 inches of rainfall. And again, this is just in the past couple of hours or so. So it's been a soggy evening. That's why we do have an aerial flood advisory that has since been extended until 2 a.m. for Champaign County. So if you're out on the roads this evening, you see high water, always want to go a different way. Turn around, don't drown. We could see some water in low-lying and flood-prone areas this evening. Otherwise, this activity is pushing off to the east. We got a quieter night ahead for us, and also going to be seeing the heat in the forecast too. I'll talk about how hot we'll get coming up in a bit.
Natalie, thanks. To stay up to date with the latest breaking weather alerts right in the palm of your hand. You can just download our app. You can take out your camera, scan the QR code there, download it for free. You can also find it in the Google Play and Apple app stores.
Some of my officers have retired. Some of them have left the sheriff's office because their hearts were just so broken that they felt like, I can't do this job anymore.
And tonight we are hearing from the Clark County Sheriff 1 year since the death of Deputy Matthew Yates. Mamie Boss spoke with her and Yates' father.
Eugene Yates spent the day alone remembering his son. On July 24th, 2022, 1 year ago today, Clark County Deputy Matthew Yates was killed while responding to a shots fired call in Harmony Township. He was shot as soon as he entered Cole White's residence. Deputies retreated. An hours-long standoff began. For his father, a former deputy, it feels like yesterday.
It hits me, and I think I can't even say it hits me every day.
Do you sometimes look out to see if his cruiser is going to pull up?
I could hear a car pull up in my driveway, and without looking, I would think it was him.
He's still grieving the loss of his son, and so is the Clark County Sheriff's Office.
Do you think it's led to some of your officers, saying now it's time to hang it up?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, I do. And I think that Matthew's death was the biggest reason quite a few of them said it's time to hang him up. It's time to leave. It's time to move on.
The sheriff tells me at least a handful of deputies have left the force. Cole White, who investigators say shot Matthew Yates, killed his mother that day. He also died. His mobile home caught on fire after SWAT went inside to retrieve Yates. Back to you.
The Ohio State Highway Patrol is now investigating a deadly accident that happened yesterday along I-70 and I-75 in Butler Township. Troopers say 64-year-old Sammy Ashburn driving a motorbike when he lost control, hit a guardrail. He was then taken to Miami Valley Hospital where he later died. That crash remains under investigation. And speaking of crashes, developing news tonight after a police chase that started in Harrison Township ended in a crash in Dayton. Lydia joining me now at the Now Desk. What have you learned so far about this?
That's right. So the Dayton Police Department is searching for an aggravated robbery suspect that was also involved in this two-car crash on Homewood Avenue this evening. A lieutenant with the Dayton Police Department told our Dayton 24/7 Now crew on scene that the aggravated robbery took place in Harrison Township, and when the suspect left the scene in a vehicle, the Dayton Police Department took over the call. The suspect eventually crashed on Homewood Avenue, hitting another car. Luckily, there were no injuries.
And do we have any idea who the suspect is in this?
No, Dayton police aren't releasing that information at this time, but they are still actively searching for this individual. They also haven't released where the aggravated robbery took place, but of course, we will update you here on air and online as we learn the latest. Back to you.
Lydia, thank you. Organizers for this year's Dayton Air Show say attendance numbers from this year's event could exceed numbers that we saw last year. Early estimates show more than 83,000 people attended the two-day event over the past weekend. Official numbers will be out later this week, and organizers believe that the changes made this year help bring more people to the show. That included encouraging people to arrive early, buy tickets ahead of time, and opening a new 3-lane entrance into the general admission lot.
That's why I'm in this for. That's what he's in it for, is being able to see families be able to take some time out from the hustle and bustle of working constantly and thoroughly enjoy life and enjoy something you don't get to see every day.
Organizers have already started thinking about next year, too, which will be the 50th edition of the show. Next year's Dayton Air Show, scheduled for June 22nd through the 23rd. The U.S. Navy Blue Angels will be the show's headliner. Tonight, the Beaver Creek City Council voting in favor of the $1.93 million levy. Now, that'll go toward funding and maintenance of a new park. If approved, the cost will be about $68 per $100,000 of home value. Now, Springhouse Park will be Beaver Creek's largest one, with an estimated cost of $36 million, with 148 acres of land being turned into athletic fields, dog parks, and a splash pad.
It creates a balance that allows us to build a significant portion of the park. It fulfills the community's vision, but it also is mindful of the taxpayers' concerns. By opting for the levy, we avoid burdening our residents with the entire cost of the park's development. And this leaves room for our wonderful staff to go out there and try to find some grants to finish this all out.
Now, if passed in November, the city would then open bidding to construction companies to potentially break ground sometime this year. A $6 million grant awarded to the city of Troy to expand the wastewater treatment plant. The funds will go toward the wastewater treatment plant expansion project. This is an $11.8 million initiative to increase capacity and replace outdated equipment. The expansion is one of 90 projects receiving state grants to address critical water and wastewater infrastructure projects in the state. Work started in November of last year, is scheduled for completion for the beginning of 2025. The Dayton unit of the NAACP hosting a town hall tonight, highlighting the importance of economics and empowerment in the Black community. Guest panelists included economic deans, chairs, and professors from several local colleges and universities. They provided information to high school students and their parents on opportunities offered by their respective colleges. Council members then spoke on their strategy and work to create an inclusive economy rooted in Black history.
What we were looking at, we need to have a change, and we need to begin to do it now, and that's why we're focused on the presentation of the initiatives that we have in this unit to be able to get those students to understand that their importance that they have not now but in the future.
Tonight's meeting hoped to help students find a good career path and be self-sufficient in finding jobs after college. Our annual Stuff the Bus School Supply Drive, it is back. Dayton 24/7 Now partnering with Cranston Classrooms to help provide school supplies for kids returning to the classroom. The donations are then distributed to teachers across the Miami Valley at no cost. We spoke to a teacher at Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School about why this is so important.
Training Us to Classroom is changing some of the classrooms and some of the lives of our students. It helps every student be the best student that they can absolutely be.
Now, Stuff the Bus is sponsored by Raising Cane's, and we'll have a school bus. We have one actually in our parking lot right now, all week long. You can drop off your donations during regular business hours. We are just days away now from the Ohio State Fair, and today it is all about safety. State inspectors on the ground today examining every piece of equipment. Their goal is to make sure the rides are safe for you and your family. And as Miles Harris explains, additional funding from the state this year is a big help.
The Department of Agriculture leads the charge when it comes to ride inspections here at the State Fair, and they just got a big financial boost to make sure that rides are safe not only for this year's fair, but for years to come.
Ohio Amusement Ride Safety Inspection Program is dedicated to providing a safe riding experience for all Ohio families.
State inspectors looking at everything from structural integrity, safety systems,
signs of cracking and fatigues around here.
You name it. The Department of Agriculture getting a big boost in the safety push thanks to new funding from the state.
That with the help of the General Assembly and the signings of the governor in passing the budget, Ohio's amusement ride industry will now have access to additional funding for specialized training in the industry.
Ohio ride companies can receive $2,000, money geared to further educate and train ride safety. David Myron with the department detailing the importance of that additional funding.
Access to these funds will allow Ohio's ride companies to train and educate more of its workforce. With this certification, Ohio will continue to lead the country in amusement ride safety.
Safety is the department's #1 priority for families.
And that was Miles Harris reporting. And as you can see, we're just a couple days away from the start of the fair. You can learn more about this year's edition on its website at ohiostatefair.com. We got a 1-week countdown for a possible UPS worker strike. Coming up, the states that'll be impacted if a deal is not made. Also, lawsuits against Northwestern University are piling up tonight. The latest one added to the list of hazing reports against the school. Next.
And the heat is on later this week, but we also are tracking some more storms that's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
UPS and its unionized workers have less than a week now to come to an agreement over working conditions before a possible strike. The Teamsters are set to resume talks with UPS tomorrow. Now, negotiations broke down earlier this month, and Teamsters have been holding rallies and practice pickets across the country. They say if their demands for better pay and better working conditions are not met, they will strike.
This week is going to be our defining moment in the Teamsters Union. It's going to be the defining moment for labor. We've organized, we've strategized, now it's time to pulverize.
Now, their current contract with UPS expires a week from today. According to a recent estimate from the Anderson Economic Group, a 10-day strike would cost the U.S. economy a total of more than $5 billion. Workers would lose $1.1 billion in wages, and customers would lose roughly $4 billion. UPS ships 24 million packages a day, which is a quarter of all U.S. parcel volume. A strike would create a significant backlog of packages, and shipping them would cost more and take longer.
Well, storms have made their way out of the area. We have quieter weather that will take place, as well as eventually the heat that is going to be making its way in too. So active weather now off to the east. We'll be looking at a calmer night across the area with lows dropping into the 60s. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some patchy fog by early in the morning, but by the afternoon, upper 80s, close to 90 degrees, sunshine, a little humid, but not as humid as what we're going to be by later this week. Heading into early Wednesday, we start out in the 60s, 90s. Now this is indicating upper 90s. I'm thinking lower 90s at this point, but it's going to feel even hotter. But we're also tracking thunderstorms possible by late into the day on Wednesday. A few of those storms could be strong to severe. Right now it's looking like a late Wednesday evening, Wednesday night time frame. Level 2 threat for severe storms. So we'll watch this very closely. I'm going to talk about how much hotter we're going to get to coming up in a bit.
Natalie, thank you. The truth is out, and it was all a hoax. A woman from Alabama who claims someone kidnapped her after she stopped her car when she saw a baby on the side of the road now says she just made the whole thing up. A lawyer for Carly Russell says Russell did not see that baby on the road on July 13th, and she was not kidnapped. Now, authorities launched a search for her when family members reported her missing, and now police are deciding whether to file charges against her.
Well, I'm glad that we got this. You know, we certainly laid the facts out. We wanted the focus to be bringing her home. She got home. We're very excited about that. It is what it is. The facts, I think, last Wednesday pretty much showed that we knew that it was a hoax.
Russell's lawyer says her client is apologetic for her actions and went on to ask people to pray for her as she addresses her issues and attempts to move forward with her life. A man in Columbus has now been charged for hitting and killing a 4-year-old boy with a stolen car. Police say they were attempting a traffic stop on Saturday night when 24-year-old Tyrell Shute sped off, then jumped a curb, hitting the child who was playing nearby with his mom. Now, instead of pursuing the suspect, police rushed to the hospital with that young boy.
They knew they had very little time. They put that baby in the car and they drove lights and sirens to that hospital to try to save that baby's life, to do everything that they possibly could. They took immediate, swift, life-saving measures. But to have a child die on your watch, it's heart-wrenching. And to die the way this didn't have to happen, it makes it even worse.
After hitting the child, police say Shute ran away. He was taken into custody yesterday. Court documents also show police had stopped him earlier that night. Hazing lawsuits against Northwestern University are likely to start stacking up. A scandal beginning with former quarterback Lloyd Yates widened today. An ex-volleyball player sued, alleging she was retaliated against for reporting mistreatment. Now, civil rights attorney Ben Crump says he's adding 30 more lawsuits.
If you're listening and you were a victim of hazing at Northwest University or any other college across America, you are not alone. We stand with you. We hear you. Join this Me Too moment for college sports.
Now, the former volleyball player, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was physically injured during a hazing incident in 2021. During that year, she contracted COVID despite following team guidelines. According to her, she was punished anyway. Live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam right now. Much quieter evening than we had earlier tonight. Let's check in with Natalie for an update.
Yeah, much calmer than the storms that we had earlier. Lingering thunderstorms possible overnight, but nothing severe is anticipated. Here's a look at temperatures across the nation. Now, of course, it's later into the evening, but off west, 106 in Phoenix right now. Some of the heat that they've been dealing with off west is going to be making its way eastward. The dome of hot air is going to take over, allowing temperatures to climb into the 90s for us here. Mid-90s likely on Friday, but you add in the humidity, it's going to feel even hotter. So tomorrow feels like temperatures likely in the lower 90s, but take a look at this. By Wednesday, we could be seeing our feels like temperatures back into the triple digits, and that will likely continue through the end of the week too. So it's going to be hot by later this week. I'll have a look at our 7-day coming up in a bit.
Natalie, thanks. An iconic sign on I-75 welcoming people to Cincinnati could be retiring soon. After the break, we talked to people to see if they approve of that proposed change. Also, the Dayton Fire Department getting a special honor from the American Heart Association. How their outstanding service to the community earned them a gold level award. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now. It's been welcoming drivers into the Queen City for 17 years, but soon the iconic Cincinnati sign along I-75 could be no more. 3CDC says it is considering replacing it with a different one as part of its remodel of the Duke Energy Convention Center. Luke Jones shares what people think about the possible change.
Cincinnati could lose its iconic LED Cincinnati sign. It's been on the side of the Duke Energy Convention Center since 2006, visible if you're driving north into the city on I-75. But 3CDC says it's considering replacing the sign as part of its 18-month renovation of the convention center. Potentially, they'd like a different sign that says more than just Cincinnati. Everyone we're hearing from, though, wants the sign to stay.
They need to keep something when they're done with all this remodeling that says, we are Cincinnati.
3CDC says no decisions have been made regarding the sign's fate. It could very well stay if attempts to replace it prove too costly. The renovation starts next summer. In Cincinnati, I'm Luke Jones.
The Dayton Fire Department taking to Facebook today to announce their latest achievement, the American Heart Association awarding them the 2023 Mission Lifeline EMS Award at the gold level. Now, that honor is given to EMS organizations that deliver superior pre-hospital emergency medical care, and it is only given to organizations dedicated to providing the best care possible for people suffering acute strokes and cardiovascular emergencies. In a statement, Dayton Fire Chief Jeff Likens says, quote, "The Dayton Fire Department is honored to be recognized by the American Heart Association for our dedication to providing optimal care for heart attack patients. The Mission Lifeline program puts proven knowledge and guidelines to work on a daily basis so patients have the best possible chance of survival." The United Rehabilitation Services announcing the return of the annual Duck Regatta, the 20th year held at the Riverscape on September 16th. The regatta is going to drop 20,000 rubber ducks into the river at Riverscape Metro Park. People can adopt ducks to participate in that race. So ducks will then be pulled out of the river. At the finish line, the first 8 pulled can win big prizes. You can buy ducks for $5 each or a quack pack of 6 ducks for $25. This year's prizes range from a down payment on a Jeep Wrangler to a dinner for 6 at Fleming's Prime Steakhouse. All the proceeds go toward helping children and adults with disabilities in the Miami Valley. And families in our communities, they are struggling tonight to provide clean diapers for their babies, and you can help. We're partnering with the National Diaper Bank Network for Sinclair Care's Summer Diaper Drive. Just scan that QR code to provide diapers for those in need right here in the area. It is media day for the Cincinnati Bengals. Coming up, why some are questioning the future of quarterback Joe Burrow. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.